This is the Troll live with Justin Freakin.
I guess I should have made like a Super Bowl specific countdown with like some dun 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 dun, like the Fox. They probably got that copyright. I can't use the NFL music. Welcome to the Super Troll live. It's a freaking Super Bowl Sunday. This is the first year I've actually changed the time to do the show to accommodate the Super Bowl since the last time Kendrick Lamar performed. I really wanted to watch Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar. I wanted to watch that one live. Super Bowl may be scripted. I don't give a shit. It's a Kendrick Lamar concert to me. I don't give a shit. Chiefs, Eagles, 49ers, Cowboys. I don't give a shit who wins. Good evening. Welcome in. Oh, I was getting ready to hit the bowl, but I forgot. I set up the countdown. So we'll count down to 4:20 on the East Coast. Yeah, the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl. We got 4:20 coming up in about 15 minutes. And we got some news coming at you right afterwards. What are we going to talk about? Trump is on his way to the Super Bowl. Harris apparently appeared at a Lakers game and nobody gave a shit. Nazis took over a road in Ohio. They were protected by the police. Not protected by the community, though. Residents of the Hamptons are worried that their hired help are going to get deported. Democrats tried to enter the Department of Education on Friday and were denied. Workers had to justify their existence in 15-minute interviews with Doge employees. Remember the Doge employee that was caught posting white supremacist Nazi shit? Yeah, Elon wants him back. Trump wants him back. J.D. Vance wants him back. Georgie, anonymously. Tones, good evening. Yeah, we're going to talk about there is a right-wing boycott of the Super Bowl because they're playing of the Black National Anthem. Right, don't play fair. Welcome in. I don't give a shit about the football game. I'm a live music fan. We've watched Super Bowl performances for the last 3 weeks on Live Music Monday. I'm looking forward to the Kendrick Lamar concert. We're going to talk a lot about it. Apparently, Skip Bayless thinks it should have been Lil Wayne. He's upset about it. I got ABC News going to explain the Kendrick Drake beef. Well, Battle Up Awesome it is. Light one up, tip one back. That is the saying. Holiday, good evening, my friend. Anybody else come in here I didn't catch? Zon, good evening. Or good afternoon. Good afternoon, possibly. Hold on, I'm waiting on 4:20. We've got like 12 more minutes. All right, we'll hit it. Meat Cakes is all on that eat train. Who do you want to see Jay face, Meat Cakes? Do you want to see Jay versus Cody? Or do you want to see Jay versus Gunther again? This is a very interesting scenario. Well, I packed the bong for 4:20. We've got a bong packed over here. So we'll save that for 4:20. We'll go ahead and hit the pipe. It's 4:20 somewhere. Flash, good evening. Or good afternoon. Welcome in. As I said, right-wingers are upset about the Black National Anthem getting played at the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about what to expect from Kendrick Lamar's performance. I saw a set list that was apparently leaked, and usually I don't put much stock in those, but like I read it and I'm like, oh shit. That actually sounds like that's probably going to be close to what he does. That could have been the actual leaked set list. I won't ruin it for anybody. Because I was like, fuck, that makes perfect sense. The boy who saved his sister in the Philadelphia plane crash, he's got Eagles players saying that they're going to play the game for him. Going to try to win the ring for him. Oh, I bet this is a huge pizza day, meat cakes. Damn. Meat cakes wants Gunther and Jay. I guess that's where they're going. Battle Opossum is hooked on that vape now. It hasn't bought flour in months. Just constantly sucking on that vape. What do they call that? Popcorn lung. You're gonna give yourself popcorn lung, motherfucker. We're going to talk about tuberculosis cases rising in Ohio, North Carolina, Michigan, Kansas. We got the measles in Texas. We've got a new bird flu variant that has been found in Nevada. New York is closing its poultry markets. Trump trashing healthcare workers as we're seeing a rise in tuberculosis cases, the measles, and bird flu, almost on the cusp of yet another pandemic. We're going to talk about the government shutdown. We're coming up quickly on the deadline for the House to pass the budget. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is blaming Democrats, saying they have walked away from the table. The Democrats say, it's actually the Republicans. They're not able to rein in their far-right coalition, and they aren't going to be able to get it done. Ilhan Omar was on one of the Sunday morning shows talking about Elon's gutting of the federal government. We're going to get a quick history in U.S. aid. Ooh, and I've got some crime stories that are related to the Super Bowl. Peyton Manning threatened to kill a pregnant woman. Woman in Louisiana was found using the credit card of a sports reporter who was found dead while he was covering the Super Bowl. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Good evening. Bagheera, it's not fear-mongering, you stupid fuck. It's reporting on what's going... You know what's fear-mongering? When you come in here and talk about the woke mind virus. That's fear-mongering. Fear-mongering is what the right does about trans people. No, right-wing propaganda has rotted your goddamn brain where you think just talking about an actual virus that is killing people is fear-mongering, but you got to make up bullshit about DEI and CRT and wokeness. I'm gonna fucking allow that just so everybody can see how dumb you are. We have a pandemic of the woke mind virus. See? The NFL is removing end racism messaging from the end zone ahead of the Super Bowl. The worst people in the country. Looks like me myself is back on the menu, boys. That was always allowed. The NWO is for life. Just too sweet. I always love it when some dumbass right-wingers talk about the NWO, and I will respond with a gif of the New World Order. Cracks me up. So the Super Bowl is tonight. It kicks off at 6:30. Donald Trump made his way just like an hour ago from, apparently he was in Palm Beach, wasn't even in D.C. Made his way from Palm Beach to New Orleans. I believe the new message is choose love. Instead of saying end racism, it's going to say choose love. Which either of them, like, who gives a shit? It's all performative nonsense. It's like he's talking on the phone. He's pulling in to board Air Force One. Or Trump Force One, or whichever plane. Probably flying on the Lolita Express. Is he still using Epstein's plane? Because if I'm not mistaken, I feel like they're refitting Air Force One. So he might be flying on his own jet here. Well, I'm sure it's something about, you know, Elon Musk is finding the money. Now, this looks like it's the Air Force One jet. Dougie, good evening. Oh yeah, it says he's boarding Air Force One. But I was under the impression that it was going to be decommissioned for a little bit as they were making upgrades to it. I feel like they also did that the first time he was president. It's quite a large plane. So the former vice president actually made a trip to a Lakers game, now unemployed. No official title. She showed up at a Lakers game and apparently sat in the cheap seats. Out of work, Kamala Harris showed up at a Lakers game. Nobody even cared. So there's some dudes down on the floor. Right. This is Jeff Dye. I hate to inform the New York Post's writers, those are not the cheap seats. This is like the back of the lower deck. That is not cheap seats at all. And maybe she's just a fan. And she didn't want to make a big deal of it. Saying she's sitting in the cheap seats is wild. Because apparently comedian Jeff Dye. Those are not the cheap seats. Former Vice President Kamala Harris and her husband Doug Emhoff were spotted at the Los Angeles Lakers game on Thursday night, with many quick to boast that nobody even cared she was there. Footage circulating on social media showed the ex-Veep showing up at the arena with very little fanfare as she and her hubby hiked up the stairs to their non-courtside seats. Seems like she was just there as a fan and didn't want to make a spectacle. That's what it seems like to me, but, you know, what do I know, right? If you would like to participate in 420, we are 30 seconds away. So get your smoking accoutrements prepared. We're going to smoke up in 20 seconds. Smoke time at 15. Light one up, tip one back on this Super Sunday. Always like getting some use out of the 420 graphic. This is 420 on the East Coast. If you'll remind me, we'll do 420 on Central Time. One more time. Light one up, tip one back. Shit, should I change it out to my song now? It's been the 420 graphic I've used the last couple of anniversary specials. I have my own song now. Bagheera, if you smoked some weed, you would probably feel a lot better. You wouldn't act like you got a stick up your ass. Ooh, I like that that sound. The way that sounds, Flash. It's the devil's drug. I feel like the devil would choose something a lot harder, like heroin. I feel like the devil's drug's probably black tar heroin. What kind of drug you got, Flash? My boy Battle Opossums had a shit ton of problems with his truck. You driving a Ford? I've been sending him all kinds of broke down Ford memes. I always really liked Fords. Okay, if you're looking at it that way, Bagheera, then doesn't God make pot? Like, how is that the devil? If pot came to us via God, are you saying like it's like the apple in the garden where we're not supposed to eat it? Why would he do that? Why would God give us a plant we're not supposed to use? Especially when there's so many different purposes for it. We should use hemp to build houses. We should use hemp for clothes. It's so much more durable. But no, because people are all uptight about weed, we can't use hemp for all the purposes that we should. Alright, we've done 420 now. We can get back to the news. Find out what that news be doing here on this Super Sunday. Am I going to be fear-mongering when I tell you that Nazis took over a street in Ohio? Is it fear-mongering to report on the news? I always have a hard time with these local sites because they'll want to block me playing the video unless I watch their goddamn commercials. Which, I mean, I get it. Local news sites, they need that revenue. But their commercials really bother me. Gilkey window and door. I'm going to try to let them play. That way we can get to the actual story here. Because I can't even mute them. It's the same commercial. I got it playing twice on both the video clips. The Gilkey family. Here we go. This is the full story. Apparent Nazis.
Apparent Nazis demonstrated in a greater Cincinnati neighborhood, and the people living there immediately sent the message they're not welcome. WCPO 9 News reporter Sean Delancey shows us how they drove hate out of Lincoln Heights.
People from the historically black Lincoln Heights community were quick to tell a group of people waving swastika flags on that overpass over I-75 that they are not welcome here. In fact, that black blob on the concrete right over there is the charred remnants of one of those flags burned to a crisp.
Fuck yeah!
Flags, some armed with rifles. Eric Ruffin took this video of a group of apparent Nazis in Lincoln Heights where he says they called him the N-word.
Officially letting you know there is racism in America. This is absolutely ridiculous.
We knew.
Other videos show counter-protesters breaking through a police line to confront them. The group that eventually grew to more than 100 took a swastika emblazoned flag and set it aflame, leaving just this blob. Charlene Evans helped set it on fire.
In this neighborhood, we do stand for something. This here turf is golden soil, and it won't be tarnished with things like that.
One man arranged bullets to spell out LH on the flag, a message not to return to Lincoln Heights. To lower the temperature.
What does LH mean? Byronic, good evening.
The church began a spontaneous prayer.
It's all about faith. But we are doing the work of God.
Still, anger went beyond the white supremacist display to the police who kept the group separate.
Nobody's coming to save us. They allowing the Nazis in.
In a statement,
the cops sure did protect the Nazis.
Was very offensive. It was not illegal. Look, the sheriff's department responding in
the bill
that they responded to de-escalate the situation and make sure that.
Good evening, my friend.
Looking forward, Pastor Julian Cook has a message.
There are obviously people who want to spread hate right now. To those people, what is your message?
You will not win. You will not win. You may try, but we have a history of being able to push past these things, as difficult as they may be. You will not win.
There has been a long list of statements and addresses from politicians, the NAACP, and more. For all of that, head over to WCPO.com. In Lincoln Heights, I'm Sean Delancey, WCPO 9 News.
Yes, Sean. This was the video of the Nazis on the overpass. You can see the cops are protecting them. This is where they finally made him disperse, but they're looking out for him the whole time. But Gary, you've got to wonder, why does this trigger you so much? Like, what does that say about you, that you were triggered by the community standing up to a bunch of stupid ass Nazis? Doesn't really make sense, does it, my friend? Messages of hate like this have no place in our region. It was shocking and disgusting to see swastikas displayed in Everdell today. This is not what we stand for, and it will never be what we stand for. Really seems like you're defending these fucks. Stabby, good evening. Welcome in, friends. Meanwhile, the residents of the Hamptons upset that they're getting what they voted for. Wealthy East Hampton elites panic over possible Trump deportations. Oh shit. Oh, I'm on the wrong browser, that's why. Here we go. I was like, why is it doing that? Residents of affluent East Hampton's town are in a frenzy over President Donald Trump's sweeping deportation program, which could see their undocumented landscapers and nannies kicked out of the country. Trump vowed when he entered office for a second term on January 20th to begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. He has made cracking down on immigration a top priority and swiftly signed executive orders that would grant immigration and customs enforcement agents the right to carry out raids in places that were previously untouchable, including hospitals, schools, and churches. In a panicked meeting held on Tuesday, local officials spoke on the president's mass deportation order, assuring wealthy residents that police officers wouldn't assist federal ICE agents in detaining their hired help. This is according to the East Hampton Star. The only way any of my officers could ever enforce federal immigration law is if they were deputized. This is according to East Hampton Town Police Chief Michael Sarlo. The town board would not allow any of our officers to be deputized. What does that even mean? Alex Verduga, the owner of Climbers Tree Care Specialist, which offers services such as hedge pruning and tree cutting in the Ritzy area, said he had concerns about how to protect his workers in the event ICE agents attempt to conduct arrests. An overwhelmed migrant, Danielle Rivas, told the town board meeting, "It's really hard for me when my 10-year-old daughter asks me, 'Mom, are you legal?' I'm sure this place would be full of people, but they're scared." Trump frequented the Hamptons for two separate fundraising events for his presidencies in 2019 and again in August of last year, when he brought the area to a standstill as wealthy donors flocked in. Bloomberg reported that Trump hoped to raise $10 million at the event. Democrats attempted to enter the Department of Education. Right-wing media mocked them. This was Maxine Waters.
Come on, hold your face up. Look at him. Let him see you. This is him. Look at it. What's your name? Tell us your name. Give me that ID again.
Giving you the ID, I showed it to you.
So what?
I showed you the ID.
You do what?
I showed you the ID.
Could you let me see the ID again? Huh?
No.
No? Will someone else ask him for the ID? Will you ask him for it? He won't let me see it again. You didn't see it. You didn't see it. They didn't see it. Look them in the eye. Come on, hold your face up. Look at him.
I think it makes Maxine look badass. I'll tell you what I want to see more than his ID. I want to see what he's got covered up by that Band-Aid. Because apparently using a really bright colored Band-Aid to draw attention to it is like a 4chan Reddit kind of thing. Yeah, he's covering up some kind of a tattoo, I would say. Maybe it has a 14, possibly an 88, maybe a couple of S's. That would be my guess, because this is apparently a thing that the trolls do. Stabby hopes that skin cancer also viable option. This is the interaction.
We were at least allowed to walk into that.
Maxwell Frost,
Stopped outside. It's no difference. I mean, you'd be stopped.
Congressman from Florida.
Doing that in advance. No.
Why are you doing that?
We're allowed to go to the visitor's desk. Got 100 people out here.
We're trying to save
Congress.
We're trying to save your job. You won't have a job.
Secretary of Defense has
You
a
don't have any place to send your kids.
conspicuous-looking cross tattoo
A ton of kids from coast to coast
on his chest.
a quality public education, and this department should
Welcome in, Wizard.
share that.
Wizard of Lizard.
Working to do that.
I love your name.
That's why we're here.
That's what we want to talk to her about.
Last year, we'd be able to walk in and go to that desk. I mean, the response I got right here, that doesn't sound like,
Sir.
it's not dangerous.
I'm going to stop you right there. No. I'm going to stop you right there and put it on the record. You did not get a dangerous response
You
here.
tell me to get out of the way?
You did not get a dangerous response here, so I'm not going to let you put that narrative
Don't
out
worry,
there.
he can lie
I'm
all
not
he
going to
wants
let
to.
you
I'm
put
not
that
saying
narrative
you
out
want
there. I'm going
moving.
to tell you to
I'm
your
not
face
afraid of
that that's a
him. He can lie all
lie. We
he
are
wants
members
to.
of Congress, as she said. What I asked
I see a lot of people on Twitter saying,
no one, but there was no danger or threat.
the South Korean government
We are allowed to go to that desk.
busted down doors to save their democracy.
Go to that desk right there.
Go get
Like I've
somebody
done
to
multiple
escort us.
times in the past years.
Go get
We're allowed
somebody
go
to
that desk.
escort us in. You know this
The IT
building.
Secretary Denise Carter.
Yeah, that's who we came to.
I mean, it's just kind of ironic that he is, a skinhead.
I said there's not an
Wearing a brown shirt.
Why can't we ask for one? Why can't we go in and ask for one?
That's not a thing. I have not seen that.
Why can't we go in and ask for one?
Can you send somebody from the Department of Education, not just a security guard?
I've explained why.
Like, I don't believe in coincidences.
For 24 hours with us? Are you prepared to stand here all night if we decide to stay? Okay.
Yeah, who in the fuck is this dude?
You just stay and stare.
Why aren't you letting us go to that desk like we were able to do last year?
He's not a U.S. employee.
This is a public institution.
So, are you not aware of members of Congress and what our responsibilities are? We're trying to save your job.
He's not a federal employee. Just like I'm telling you. Can I see it?
Show us your badge again. Let's see.
How do we know who you are?
I don't
Turn
know.
it around.
I
We
don't
can't
know who
see.
he
Can we
is.
see your badge?
I'm a federal employee.
We're
You're not showing us your badge.
Yeah, why aren't they going and getting the cops and getting him out of the way?
We were allowed to go to that visitor's
Now they're
desk.
bringing Department of Homeland Security.
They should come out.
Absurd.
They should come out.
Yeah, let them come out. Let them come out.
I know at a minimum,
we have
we are
those
allowed to
too.
go to that visitor's desk.
We have one of those too, just like
At
you.
a minimum.
Why can't we get in?
He does not have one of those.
We have one of those.
He ain't got one of those.
We're members of Congress. Let us in.
We'd like you to.
We've always been allowed in.
Members of Congress. We want to have a meeting.
Were you told to deny members of Congress entrance into this building, sir?
So there's no meeting.
That's a good question. Were you told?
I mean, I just it's not a coincidence that there's Nazis with swastikas in Ohio and this dude's got a brown shirt on and a skinhead. Like, this is. It's not a coincidence that Elon Musk out here doing fucking Nazi salutes. Like, I didn't. Wake the fuck up. I don't know. This is purportedly, I got it from Rumble. This is from the Charlie Kirk show. This is reportedly a snippet of one of the interviews of a federal employee.
Nervous and reticent to come here and speak just for retaliation purposes. I just wanted to share some things that are going on at my agency. In the last week, we had Elon Musk in our building, and after he visited the building, called for a 50% cut of the entire agency. My colleagues are getting 15-minute one-on-one check-ins with 19, 20, and 21-year-old college graduates asking to justify their existence. Supervisors are being told not to tell their staff anything, withhold information. And today we got word that Supervisors must now fill out a justification form, and that there's going to be just a 30% rank and yank with all staff of my agency. And to top it all off, one of Musk's top lieutenants and his wife and young child have shacked up on the 6th floor of our agency and are living there. The hallway's been blocked off with a special access list for people who can't get back there. Queer and trans folks of my agency are being doxxed in public, their lives threatened.
And Charlie Kirk shares that out like it's a good thing. Things are rapidly deteriorating in this country. This matches reporting from the LA Times. I'm sorry, this is the Latin Times. Federal employee says they had to justify their existence to Doge college freshers in 15-minute interviews. Federal employee said he and his colleagues had to justify their existence. The unnamed federal employee said he was nervous of retaliation. That's the clip we just watched. He continued by saying supervisors, all of whom were ordered to withhold information. I'm sorry, I thought this was a separate one. This is the clip that we just watched. That I had multiple stories. It's unverified, though. Once again, the clip came from Charlie Kirk on Rumble. I don't know what the Latin Times is, and it was clearly just citing that clip. I do know that there is a purge of the government going on. However, if you said some racist shit, you need a second chance. Vance says Doge staffer who resigned after a report of racist posting should be brought back. Vice President J.D. Vance. And Vance was the senator from Ohio. Ohio is where the group of Nazis popped up. I don't believe in coincidences. Vice President J.D. Vance said Friday that Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency should rehire a staff member who resigned after he was linked to a social media post that espoused racism, with President Donald Trump later endorsing the vice president's view. Marco Alez resigned Thursday after the Wall Street Journal linked the 25-year-old Doge staffer to a deleted social account on X that posted last year, "I was racist before it was cool, and you could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity." The account in September included a post that said, "Normalize Indian hate." The vice president's wife, Usha Vance, is the daughter of Indian immigrants. Vance, in a post on Musk-owned X, said Alez should be brought back and blamed journalists who try to destroy people. I obviously disagree with some of Alez's posts, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. I agree when it's something, less than Nazism. I obviously disagree with some of the... Oh, I already said that. I'm with the vice president, Trump told a news company. 25 is also not really a kid. Vice President said Alez should be fired if he's a bad dude or a terrible member of the team. Vance's posts came after Musk and another social media post began polling his followers on whether he should bring back Alez. Quesadilla, good evening. Let's get a history of exactly what the U.S. Agency for International Development is. We've heard a lot of bullshit.
Key target this week was the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, trying to shut down USAID. The Trump administration calls the agency corrupt. The president tried to put thousands of workers on paid leave this past week before a federal judge temporarily stopped him. That hearing is scheduled for tomorrow in Boston. Meanwhile, a large number of foreign humanitarian programs have been frozen around the world. So We've talked a lot about USAID. What exactly is it? Well, this agency was created back in 1961. Its goal was promoting health programs, democracy, economic growth, and human rights around the world. In 2023,
you can see why the right hates it.
It was $63 billion, or about 1% of the federal government. It employs 10,000 people with bases in 60 countries around the world. President Trump says there is waste and abuse, in his words, at USAID, but supporters say the programs are essential. So let's get into this. George Ingram is a senior fellow at Brookings and a former deputy assistant administrator at USAID. Good to see you this morning. Thank you for being with us. Let's tackle some of the things that the president said about this agency off the top. Is there waste, fraud, and abuse rampant at USAID?
When you take a look at the way the agency operates, it has multiple layers of accountability. And I read a report, the 2023 report on financial report of AID, and there are 7 different laws that it has to comply with on financial accountability, and it received an award from an accountability organization for the quality of its accountability.
So this department goes back to
the quality of its accountability.
The administration of former President John F. Kennedy. You know, the United States exercises its power in several
I'm sure it was
ways
brought about to end communism.
One is through
fight
its
communism.
Forces. The other is through its humanitarian endeavors. This seems to be an area of an exercise of American soft power, that by going into places in need around the world, you're actually planting the American flag in positive ways. What are the goals of the funds that are put in these places around the world, and how does that reflect on the United States globally?
Great question. There are 3 goals of our foreign assistance programs the USAID implements. One is humanitarian. And that's in 2 aspects, really. One is responding to disasters around the world with life-saving medicine, food, water, tents. AID responded to 77 disasters last year. Secondly, the health programs that AID carries out. The PEPFAR program started under George Bush has saved 26 million people around the world from HIV/AIDS. And it has similar role to play in malaria and other health areas. Secondly, it promotes economic development. This is helping countries with their economic, social, and political development to make them more prosperous and more stable. Mm-hmm. The impact of that is you have a more prosperous, stable world that the U.S. exists in, and you create markets for U.S. trade and investment. Some of the top U.S. trade partners are former aid recipients.
George, one of the hard lessons we all learned through the pandemic was that diseases and viruses don't care about borders. What risk could Americans be at if some of these things like you just talked about, malaria or Ebola, spread out uncontrollably throughout some of these
countries? I don't even want to think about Ebola spreading. Mox, good evening.
Very simple. You make the point in the way you stated the question. People are flying all over the world every day. Sometimes they're flying without knowing that they have a health problem because it just came to them, and they fly into America. With Ebola, the U.S. government, both USAID and CDC, stepped up and helped the African nations contain Ebola before it got elsewhere in the world.
Now, one of the things that we have seen that they
multiple times now,
the front of the building, we got about 30 seconds. What does that do to morale?
It destroys morale. I mean, USAID is a brand around the world that is known and it is trusted. And you take that brand away, and both the dedicated civil servants who work there and our allies overseas wonder what's happened to America.
George Ingram, former official at USAID, we appreciate it.
Well, I think capitalism is dead. And since Trump is going in and slashing the government, I think we should take it as an opportunity. And if the left organizes, perhaps we can take the reins of the government and rebuild it in a social democracy. After people get smacked by how fucking shitty the Trump administration is going to be. Bagheera, I said that multiple times. I do the news, and I was tangentially aware of U.S. aid before a couple of weeks ago. But, you know, the right now all has opinions that it's corrupt and a money laundering front. I'd prefer the U.S. do shit like that instead of bombing places. The mind virus. Stop fear-mongering, Bagheera. But here's how cutting U.S. aid is going to affect the economy here in the U.S. It was something like $2 billion goes from U.S. aid to farmers in the U.S. to buy their supplies that they then send to other places in the world. Farmers depend on that as like a subsidy for the government to make up for when, you know, they have bad years. Then that's going to trickle down to fucking truck drivers who aren't going to have as much work. Fucking Trump is going to destroy the economy, just unintended consequences to stupid shit that he's doing. Because, like, it's all propped up. That's the craziness. Capitalism has been propped up by the government for so long. The government exists in so many different ways in your life that you don't even fucking realize. And Trump is bringing it all to a crashing halt. So maybe it can be an opportunity. Maybe it's going to be a fucking bloodbath, just like Trump said. Who knows? Elon Musk, or Ilhan Omar, Elon Musk. What the fuck? Maybe I'm too high. Maybe I'm not high enough for this shit. Representative Ilhan Omar says that Trump's federal gutting of the federal government does not have the full support of the GOP.
We're joined now by Democratic
Congressman
Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. Good to have you here. You have spoken quite a bit this week about what USAID meant in your life, particularly when you were living in a refugee camp for 4 years. And USAID, you talked about helping to keep you alive. We know this week a federal judge will come to some kind of hearing and decision perhaps on what happens to all those government workers. Are the courts the main line of defense here?
Yeah, I mean, what we are witnessing is a constitutional crisis. We are seeing an executive branch that has decided that they are no longer going to abide by the Constitution in honoring Congress's role in the creation of the agencies, in their role in deciding where money is allocated.
Elon Omar is a scary proposition.
Congressional leadership, the speaker,
I called her
will not.
Elon Musk.
The executive is through the judiciary.
Elon Musk isn't real. Elon Musk couldn't say it.
When we think about the checks and balances that we have, the courts are the only recourse we have at the moment. And we have seen, and when we talk about the illegality of what the executive is doing, we have seen every single executive order that has been challenged in the courts was found to be illegal. And that, I think, should give faith to the American people that our courts are working as they should. The checks and balances are working. What is not working is the way that the executive is behaving and the congressional leadership that is failing.
I don't have faith.
Well, some of these court cases are ongoing, so we'll have to see where they end up.
The ones that have already been adjudicated, every single executive order has been halted at the moment by an order.
Many of them Republican judges who've also made that decision.
Trump-appointed judges.
It was interesting to hear Congressman McCall indicate that when it came to breaking up an agency that was enshrined in law, that maybe there is some resistance there. Senator Hagerty, however, thought that Congress would be supportive of dismantling USAID after I read that description of this statute. It seems, though, that Democrats don't have a lot of leverage here to push this.
No, they don't.
In Congress. Do you think you do?
Well, they don't have the numbers in order to dismantle through Congress. That's why they are going through this illegal. That's why they're going through this illegal route. We know that USAID has support, not just with Democrats, but with Republicans. I can't see McCall taking a vote to dismantle USAID. So we know that the votes are not there to dismantle the Department of Education. We know that the votes are not there to grant security clearances.
No, I say let them.
Them accessing Treasury. And so every single process that they are going through in implementing Trump's agenda is at the moment illegal. And they know they don't have the support for it in Congress. That's why they're not bringing it through Congress.
It's interesting that the first place to focus is such a small portion of federal spending to look at aid. But when you look at the popularity, Secretary Rubio was right in saying that it's getting harder to defend foreign aid because it's not popular. We saw the Chicago Council on Global Affairs surveyed American opinions on foreign policy, and they found a growing number want to reduce economic and military aid to other countries. So how do you convince the public that your point of view is the right one? Because it sounds like they're sliding the other way.
Well, foreign aid, I think throughout the history of our country has not been popular with the American people because we don't have that many conversations about what it does, how much of it it accounts for in our budget. A lot of people hear the millions.
Such a small amount.
And they don't fully have a concept of what that actually
means. Are we not cutting the military?
It touches and how important it is, both the soft power that we have as a country, how it keeps us competitive around the world, how it buys us goodwill. We can have the conversation, but when you just say foreign aid to a lot of people, they're thinking that we're sending bombs to other countries, which people like me and others oppose.
Yeah, we do.
An allegation.
But that's not what this program does.
I want to ask you about something President Trump said this week alongside the Israeli Prime Minister. It took many by surprise. Take a listen.
Yeah, it took a lot of us by surprise.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we
shouldn't
will
be
do a
surprised
job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site.
The president said Palestinians would be permanently removed. How do you think this is heard and understood around the world?
Well, that's just plain out ethnic cleansing and genocide. That's what he's talking about. The Palestinian people will remain in Gaza. There is no support around the world for the ludicrous suggestion that he is making.
Well, he's saying give them a choice to leave, open the gates.
Yeah.
An insult to ludicrous.
Most of the people in Gaza would love to remain in their homeland. And be where.
So Trump is trying to tell the people of Gaza to move, bitch, get out the way. God, that was horrible. I'm sorry. I'll see myself out.
Congresswoman, we have to leave it there for today, but I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Coming in.
We're coming up on another government shutdown. I think we're like less than a month away. When did they kick the can down to? Like March 7th, March 9th, something like that.
Tonight, the federal government is just more than a month away from the government again facing a shutdown deadline. This time it's March 14th. Republicans say they're still working to get on the same page to cut spending and keep the government open. Democrats, meanwhile, claim President Trump has already gone too far. KCAU 9 Washington correspondent Vinay Simlot gives us an update.
There's a divide between House Republicans and Senate Republicans over how to move forward Today, House Republicans met with President Trump. Speaker Mike Johnson says they spent more than 4 hours in the cabinet room mapping out a path forward to avoid a government shutdown and still pass some legislation on President Trump's priorities.
We feel pretty solid about where we are right now.
House Republicans face a mid-March government shutdown deadline. Republicans say they want to pass legislation addressing immigration, national security, and tax cuts.
The president is committed to working with Congress to get this done.
But Republicans in the Senate and House are divided on how they'll get it done. Speaker Mike Johnson and other House Republicans met with President Donald Trump to address the differences.
They're talking about the budget and the priorities from this administration.
Before Congress takes action on those priorities, the Trump administration has already worked to trim the size of the federal government.
I think that the American people want to have our government more accountable to what they're spending.
Democrats have sharply criticized the influence of Elon Musk.
Every day, Elon and his tech bros ride their skateboards over to a new agency and start crashing into their databases.
That includes USAID, which placed nearly all of its employees on leave.
Enough is enough. Get out of our government.
The Trump administration also offered
move, bitch, get out the way.
Agree to resign by midnight tonight. The White House says 60,000 federal employees have already accepted, but a federal judge put the deadline on hold. White House Press Secretary,
I think that was Friday night.
President Trump is fulfilling a campaign promise to cut the size of the U.S. government. Elon Musk says he'd like to cut more than $1 billion a day. In Washington, I'm Vinay Simlot. Back to you.
Vinay Simlot. He's kind of cute. They are already blaming Democrats. Democrats reject Johnson's finger pointing, say he is full of shit. Top House Democrats are pushing back hard against accusations from Speaker Mike Johnson that they walked away from negotiations over government spending, saying it's Republicans who've abandoned the talks to address internal differences. Projection is what Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said, adding that Representative Rosa DeLauro, the Democrat of Connecticut, has been trying to get Republicans to respond to her for weeks. Weeks! Johnson stirred the finger-pointing on Thursday morning when he blamed Democrats for the failure of negotiators to reach a top-line number to guide the federal funding effort. Okay, it's March 14th. I was wrong on the date. Just a little over a month. With congressional action, large parts of the government would shut down after March 14th. Leader Jeffries and others seem to be trying to set up some sort of government shutdown, Johnson told reporters in the Capitol. We were negotiating in good faith and trying to get the top line number, but so far as I know, they've been sort of unresponsive the last 2 days or so, so I hope we can get back to it. DeLauro, the top Democrat on the House Appropriations Committee, rejected Johnson's claims out of hand. She's been in talks with the panel's chair, Representative Tom Cole, a Republican from Oklahoma, and said she delivered the Democrats' latest offer on Thursday. The speaker should check in with Mr. Cole to know about what the offers are. We are at the table. We are working. I guess the speaker just hasn't been informed about what's going on. He knows not of what he speaks. Representative Jim McGovern, a Democrat of Massachusetts, the ranking member of the House Rules Committee, was more forceful. He said Johnson is struggling to reach a spending agreement because he is waiting for marching orders from President Trump and Elon Musk, the billionaire Trump ally who's heading the administration's cost-cutting efforts. First of all, he's full of shit. He's a liar. He's a total shield for Donald Trump and Elon Musk, McGovern said. So he can blame anybody he wants, but we're not walking away from the table, McGovern continued. They're not interested in hearing from us at this particular point. Maybe they will be in March. Do you guys like the football graphics? The troll in the football helmet? We're all hyped up here on Super Troll Sunday. Patrick Mahomes calls BS on Trump and MAGA senators' bizarre claims. The Chiefs quarterback says the former Texas Tech coach turned senator Tommy Tuberville did not recruit him despite Tuberville's claims. This was tweeted out by Tommy Tuberville. He was on with Megyn Kelly.
So does this mean, since you used to coach Patrick Mahomes, that you're rooting for the Chiefs at the big game this Sunday?
Well, I never even coached him. What happened is I recruited him, and then I left and went to another school. But I've got to be very good friends with him. He's not just a good athlete. He's a very good example for a lot of our young youth across this country. Same thing with Dwayne Johnson, coaching Dwayne at University of Miami years ago. He wasn't, he's a good football player.
The motherfucker name dropping.
He's a perfect gentleman on and off the field. So one of those type of people. But no,
I know The Rock.
Both teams. Again, I'm not a big NFL person. I like college football more, but I'll probably be pulling for Patrick this week.
Oh, very nice. Okay, I'm going to confess I am going to the Super Bowl. I've never been to one before.
Why is she everywhere?
I am going to be rooting for the Eagles because even though I don't really love the Eagles, Coach, I got to be honest, ever since the Michael Vick thing, I've held it against them, and I'm a Giants fan. But I am going, the Giants aren't in it, I am going to root for the Eagles out of marital support and love. So we'll see. Maybe I'll bet you $1. I'll bet you $1 that the Eagles will win. You take that bet?
I'll take that bet. It should be a good time.
I think he was saying he was an assistant coach when The Rock was in college.
Everything else around it, I've been to them, the halftime, the pregame, all the festivities, and New Orleans is a great place. So
He coached The Rock.
It will be safe. They'll have a lot of security, but at the end of the day, it's the biggest event of the year, sporting-wise, for our country, and hopefully we'll have a great game.
Now, The Rock would be like, yeah, totally got coached by Tommy Tuberville, even if it wasn't true, because The Rock is full of shit as well. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes had to call a foul on MAGA Senator Tommy Tuberville's claims that he recruited him to play at Texas Tech. The Alabama senator and former college football coach had been talking up his supposed role in Mahomes' football career to Donald Trump, who seems to favor the quarterback because his wife Brittany Mahomes expressed support for his candidacy during the election. But according to Mahomes, who clarified their relationship this week, the two may not have even met. Mahomes bluntly told the Philadelphia Inquirer on Thursday he did not recruit me. The news may just come as a disappointment to Trump, who talked up Tuberville's connection to Mahomes this week. Tuberville's quarterback was named Mahomes. He was a great coach, Trump said on Wednesday, and I said, how good was he? He said, you don't want to know how good. He made me into a great coach. He's a pretty good quarterback, right? Yeah, he was a very good, and he's a good guy too. So who made up this story? Did Tuberville bullshit? Did Trump bullshit? This is multiple layers of bullshit going on here. Tuberville coached at Texas Tech from 2010 to 2012, and Mahomes didn't play at the school until 2014, despite his wife's social media activity indicating that she liked Trump's policies. Mahomes himself declined to endorse a candidate during the election, opting instead to advise people to do their own research and make the best decision for them and their family. He added that that's what makes America so great. Trump wasn't put off by the non-answer. He crafted a couple of congratulations posts on Truth Social on Thursday as they welcomed their third child. He also thanked beautiful Brittany Mahomes for so strongly defending me. Tuberville decided to keep Trump's story going on Thursday, claiming he had recruited Mahomes to Texas Tech during his appearance on Megyn Kelly. Coach who actually recruited Mahomes is current Washington Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, who was head coach at Texas Tech from 2013 to 2018. Mahomes told ESPN in 2022 that Kingsbury was the first, at least on the college level, coach that believed in me. Intersection of politics and football tonight. An ex-RNC official went on CNN to talk about Trump's gutting of the federal government, facing off with a public health physician This is former National Republican Committee spokesperson. And Dr. Chris Purnell.
We're facing the unknown with the bird flu, and our eggs are costing double digits at the grocery store.
You know, I think it's best for me to explain it through the lens of the pandemic. I was a C-suite executive at a safety net hospital when COVID hit, right? And we had a then
So this is Dr. Purnell.
fomented anti-science, fomented misinformation and disinformation. And flatly, we were not prepared, had dwindled our pandemic and public health preparedness. So you look back and see how poorly we performed at that time, and it looks like we haven't learned our lessons. When threats are proliferating, whether across the globe,
I think we learned the wrong lessons.
Here at home, we could talk about the bird flu. We could talk about in Kansas, there's tuberculosis outbreak. We could talk about measles cases cropping up all across the United States. You don't gut the very force, and I'm going to use that word deliberately. You don't gut the very force that's your safety net, that are your guardrails to ensure that everyday Americans can be well and can be thrive. It's misguided. It doesn't make sense. It's actually, frankly, stupid.
I think there's legitimate questions, though, to be had here, and we see trust across the country has declined following COVID in public health
why did
officials.
trust decline?
And
This is Madison Giussiotto.
we were told
Trust declined
repeatedly
because of
that
misinformation,
masks work,
and it
that
was
social
done. Masks
distancing
do
works.
work. You're talking
We
to a
were
public
told
health physician.
this vaccine
Masks
is safe.
do work. We also had
no
a president.
side effects.
We also
There's
had a
no risk
president
to
who told
taking
people
the
they could
vaccine.
do
It will
bleach.
stop the
We also had a
transmission.
president
Hold on
that
one
talked
second.
about
Let me
drugs
just
that
let
weren't proven.
Dr. Purnell, let me let Madison finish so that you can understand
Sure.
what
Yeah,
she's saying.
I think there's legitimate questions as to whether we can trust the so-called experts, and I think people across the country feel this sentiment. And I think by rolling your eyes, we're not saying that doctors
I'm
are
not
bad or
rolling
every
my eyes.
expert is
I'm
bad,
not rolling
but I
my
think
eyes.
those are legitimate questions because we were told this vaccine is safe. This will stop the spread of COVID,
It is safe.
and then they evolved into saying,
It is
well, it's not
safe.
going to stop, but it's going to slow
No,
it and all these
you're-
things, and none of
that's
those true.
We had
It's not
Kamala
safe.
Harris
It's
say
not
that she
safe.
wouldn't Can I need correct
It's
that?
not safe.
It is misinformation. TV girl.
Right now.
Adverse
That needs to be-
effects as a result of the
I'll
vaccine,
let you
and the
get a last
lawsuits
word.
have shown that too.
Lawsuits have not shown that.
Yes, they
Okay,
have. I
my
have
father
friends who have
died.
myocarditis
My
under 30
father
years old from the
died
vaccine.
during this COVID pandemic.
And I had
My
relatives
cousins
die.
died. Let me finish. My cousins died during this COVID pandemic. My sister was a long COVID survivor. I volunteered for that COVID vaccine trial. I was the executive in a safety net hospital
But that doesn't
in
change
Newark,
the
New
facts.
Jersey. We saw the
Doctor, it
data.
doesn't change
We
the
saw
facts.
millions. We saw more than 1 million Americans died. You know, we would have seen more
So
if
what's
we didn't
what's
have
going
the
on
vaccine.
with the side effects of the vaccine?
The side
Why
effects
can't you
of the
address
vaccine
that? When
are
they told us
normal.
that it was not
adverse
going
effects
to be
are something
All
different,
right.
and because of that, let me just finish this point. Side effects and adverse
It's normal
effects
for
are
people to
two
get
different
myocarditis
things.
from the vaccine
No,
when
it's
we were
not
told it was
normal for
safe.
people to
Hold
get
on one second.
myocarditis, but that's
Oh, that has been debunked a million times.
back to what you were saying.
It is what's
So-called
happening.
experts. We have a so-called leader in the White House that's making
the president.
decisions.
He's not so-called.
No, that's making
He is the
decisions that
president
are
of the
not
United States.
rooted in public health science.
He's the president, but he's a so-called leader.
What we were told was the
Respecting
science was not the
experts. Oh,
truth.
the science is true.
Madison.
So do
The
masks
science
work?
is true.
Madison,
Yes,
give me,
they do.
Madison, give me a second because look, we can't
work.
hear when everybody's talking at the same time, and we also have to go. But I want to make sure that
We also have to go.
I want to let you finish your thought, but we cannot do it at the same time.
Thank you. So what I was saying before, and I will reiterate, because it's so important for the American public to know this, when you gut the very teams, scientists, physicians, leaders who have been trained, who have studied, and who have lived experience so that we are not caught flat-footed, so that we are not unable to neutralize threats. You only proliferate threats in the United States, and you proliferate those threats abroad. This is not pseudoscience. This is not conjecture. This is not imagination. This is hardcore truth. And there is a fundamental lack of understanding in the White House right now. And you see it with projections of cutting NIH, projections of cutting HHS, CDC, CMS. It doesn't make sense. And you're not going to find any physician that's going to sit here and tell you that those actions are
Right on. The bird flu didn't make your chicken wings for tonight's footy ball game any pricier. What up with that? Why the bird flu isn't making your Super Bowl chicken wings pricier. The escalating bird flu crisis is ravaging the nation's supply of eggs, leading to increased prices and low to no stock at grocery stores, while chicken supply appears largely unchanged. The hens that lay eggs are not the same as the chickens raised for consumption. Broiler chickens raised for meat are completely different from the layer hens raised to lay eggs, according to Tom Super of the National Chicken Council, which represents the country's chicken producers. Clinically, good evening. Egg-laying hens typically start laying eggs after around 18 weeks, at which point they can stay productive for a year or longer. Broiler chickens, on the other hand, are typically led to the slaughterhouse after anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. It's a whole different cycle. You don't have the pressure of time. They can be exposed to the virus. This helps explain why Tyson Foods recently projected a 2% increase in its chicken production for its 2025 fiscal year, even as the bird flu ravages egg production. The company said its chicken business turned in its best performance in 8 quarters in the last 3-month period on an adjusted operating income basis. Tyson also says it has a strong biosecurity plan to protect its operations from the bird flu. Clinically, good evening. New York closing down its live poultry markets. New York poultry markets ordered to close temporarily as bird flu concerns spread. The poultry markets are required to close for a full disinfection even if bird flu has not been detected. New York Governor Kathy Hochul ordered a temporary closure of live poultry markets after bird flu was detected in the outer boroughs of New York City. The order signed by Hochul on Friday requires the market to close down between February... Oh, is this old? I thought it was just posted. Oh, it is February, 9th. I was thinking it was like the end of fucking March or some shit. I'm really fucked up tonight. I'm either too high or not high enough. Who knows? The order signed by Hochul on Friday requires the markets to close down between February 7th and February 14th. As facilities undergo a complete disinfection process. It calls for markets that have not tested positive for the bird flu to sell down all inventory and shut down for 5 days after the cleaning process in New York City, plus Westchester, Suffolk, and Nassau counties. Sellers that do have indication of bird flu among their flock must contact the state's Department of Agriculture and Markets. Hochul described the measure as proactive. Those 7 cases of bird flu were detected in the Queens, the Bronx, and Brooklyn in the first week of last month. I'm sure it's going to be fine. They're slashing the public health agencies. There's nothing worrying out there. New bird flu variant found in Nevada dairy cows has experts sounding alarms. We have never been closer to a pandemic from this virus. I'm fear-mongering, according to Bagheera. Get you a big dose of fear-mongering. The disclosure that dairy herds in Nevada have been infected by a version of the H5N1 bird flu not previously seen in cows has put virologists and researchers on high alert. Among other things, the news from the Nevada Department of Agriculture suggests that driving the virus out of the U.S. cattle population won't be nearly as simple as federal officials once had suggested or perhaps hoped. On Friday came a second, potentially more serious blow. A technical brief by the U.S. Department of Agriculture reported that the genotype known as D1.1 contains a genetic mutation that may help the virus more easily copy itself in mammals, including humans. Yay! The D1.1 version of the virus is the same variant that killed a man in Louisiana and left a Canadian teen hospitalized in critical condition. It is not the B3.13 genotype widely found in sick cattle dating to earlier last year. This can be a significant concern if the virus continues to spread among cows and infects more people. Immunologist and former federal health official Rick Bright tells Fortune magazine this mutation has not been associated with improved human transmission, so there are no telling signs of enhanced spread yet. But when the virus gets into people, it is ready to cause a much more serious disease than the B3.13 virus that has been circulating in cows before now. We've never been closer to a pandemic from this virus, and we still are not doing everything possible to prevent it or reduce the impact if it hits. Yay! It's totally going to be okay. And we're not seeing outbreaks of other things in the country. And we're not seeing measles pop up and make a resurgence. Measles outbreak expands in West Texas around county with low vaccination rate. The measles outbreak is growing in a rural area of West Texas where vaccination rates are well below the recommended level. In late January, 2 children in Gaines County were hospitalized for measles. On Wednesday, the state health department shared in a health alert that the number of confirmed cases has grown to 6. As of Friday afternoon, the outbreak has jumped to 14 confirmed cases and 6 probable cases among people who were symptomatic and had close contact with infected individuals. Zach Holbrooks, executive director for the South Plains Public Health District, told CNN. Investigations are ongoing as cases have been identified in parts of the region that are outside the Gaines County lines where the first cases were reported. All the cases are believed to be among people who are not vaccinated against measles, Holbrook said. Most of them are in children. A record share of U.S. kindergartners had an exemption for required vaccinations last school year, leaving more than 125,000 new school children without coverage for at least one state-mandated vaccine, according to data published by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in October. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has set a goal that at least 95% of children in kindergarten have gotten 2 doses of the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, a threshold necessary to help prevent outbreaks of the highly contagious disease. The U.S. now has fallen short of that threshold for 4 years in a row. MMR coverage is particularly low in Gaines County, where nearly 1 in 5 incoming kindergartners in the 2023-24 school year did not get the vaccine. The 18%. What fucking religion are they? What church is prominent in that area? The 18% vaccine exemption rate for the county is one of the highest in the state, according to data from the Texas Department of State Health Services. At the state level, vaccine exemptions were highest in Idaho, where more than 14% of incoming kindergartners did not have their required shots, according to CDC data from last school year. Texas overall was slightly above the national average, with about 4% exemptions. Measles is an airborne disease that can cause serious health consequences, including death, especially in young and unvaccinated children. We had a good run. Really feel like we're playing Red Dead Redemption again. It's back in style. Kansas reckons with large tuberculosis outbreak. As health officials are hamstrung, experts fear consequences of Trump's restrictions on CDC as states see one of the largest outbreaks ever recorded in the U.S. Just sit with that information for a little bit. Kansas is experiencing one of the largest tuberculosis outbreaks ever recorded in the U.S. Remember, this is a completely preventable disease. As public health powers at the state and federal level have been greatly curtailed. This is life without the government. Outbreaks like these may become more common and dangerous as officials' efforts are hamstrung and their communications are limited. You can think of TB outbreaks like a canary in the coal mine of our public health infrastructure, according to David Dowdy, professor of epidemiology at Johns Hopkins. What causes them to happen is a weakening of our public health infrastructure. Since January of 2024, there have been 67 active cases of tuberculosis identified in 2 counties in Kansas, more than the usual case count for the entire state in a year, despite the counties together representing less than 3% of the state's population. Tuberculosis. Now that's a sign of the end of the world. Tuberculosis. I'm sure it's not popping up anywhere else. It's just it's confined to just Kansas, right? Active tuberculosis case detected in West Michigan school. Health officials confirmed a person at a West Michigan high school was diagnosed with active tuberculosis. On January 31st, the Kalamazoo County Health and Community Services Department notified Kalamazoo Public Schools of the recent diagnosis and confirmed the person has been isolated and is undergoing treatment. Michigan a long way from Kansas. North Carolina tuberculosis cases are rising for the first time in decades following one of the worst outbreaks in U.S. history. Cases of the world's deadliest infectious disease have been increasing in the U.S. in recent years. Cases of tuberculosis are on the rise for the first time in decades. Over the course of last week, Durham's Duke University Hospital has seen fewer than 10 cases, but that's still higher than normal, according to infectious disease scientist Dr. Nicholas Turner. Human F being. We're all fucked. That's all I got to say. That's how RFK is going to respond. So that was Michigan, Kansas, North Carolina. Do we have cases in Ohio? Public hackles in central Ohio have been raised over the bacterial disease. What? There's no reported outbreak. I don't know. I'll grab some kind of opinion piece or something. There's no outbreak, but I think there was a fucking case confirmed. There were 145 reported TB cases in Ohio in 2022 and 190 in 2023. While annual case counts in Ohio appear high in past years, they don't meet the criteria for an outbreak like Kansas. They're going up, but, you know, they're not an outbreak. X1011, welcome in. All right, we're going to do a little crime news. We're going to hit the content warning on this one. It might be a little shocking. We've had a football-y theme running through the show tonight. We continue. Peyton Manning charged with threatening to kill a pregnant woman. A Muncie man was arrested just after his 18th birthday for allegedly threatening to shoot and kill a pregnant woman and her unborn baby. Peyton A. Manning, 18, was arrested early Thursday morning. Booked into the Delaware County Jail on one count of forcible felony intimidation. The arrest stems from threatening videos allegedly sent by Manning to a young pregnant woman via Instagram. Muncie police were called around 10:45 p.m. to a local home to take a harassment report. The woman told officials that the man was hanging out at a hotel with friends and said they had been threatening her with violence. One friend, later identified as Manning, had reportedly gone on Instagram Live and made comments about killing her baby while holding a gun to his face. "I don't give a fuck if your baby dies or not," Manning reportedly says. "I'd kill that baby too. Look at that baby face. He looks 13 indeed." When asked by police if she thought the threats were something Manning would actually do, the woman said yes. Court documents show police also obtained video recordings of Manning threatening to kill the woman and holding a gun in his waistband. Manning and his friends were tracked down at a local Quality Inn, and he was brought in for questioning. The 18-year-old reportedly claimed the pregnant woman had been threatening him before he sent the videos. Manning then told police he did in fact make the threats, but said he did not mean it. Given the alleged admission, police took Manning into custody. He was later booked into the Delaware County Jail on one count of forcible intimidation. Online court records have not yet been updated to reflect an initial hearing. Manning turned 18 on February 5th and was born in 2007. This means he was born on the same day that Indianapolis football legend Peyton Manning led the Colts to victory in Super Bowl. What is it? What's L? It's 10. Is L 20 Super Bowl? No. It's Super Bowl 41. L is 50, so the 10 is subtracted. Right? So it's Super Bowl 41. Boom. Yes. Look at me. I did some math.
You take your 33 and a third chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 and a third chance of winning.
Roman numerals. Let me give you all a Roman salute. My heart goes out to you. Oh, Byronic. Rooting me on. Positive affirmation. Yay. A woman accused of using the credit card of a sports reporter who was found dead while covering the Super Bowl. This is a crazy one.
Sad news coming from New Orleans. A Kansas City sports anchor for Telemundo KC has died while on assignment there. Aiden Manzano was described by Telemundo as a rising star in this post on Twitter. The station's general manager, Steve Downing, says that he was found dead in his hotel room. An autopsy is pending, and Telemundo KC says that they're working to cooperate with law enforcement. Our thoughts are with Telemundo as they grieve and, of course, the journalistic community.
A woman in New Orleans is accused of using a stolen credit card that belonged to the Kansas City sports reporter that was found dead. The station's general manager, Colbert is accused of using, according to investigators, security footage shows Daniette Colbert of Slidell with Manzano on the morning of Wednesday. What? Huh? According to investigators, security footage. Oh, Manzano is the reporter. Security footage shows Colbert of Slidell with Manzano on the morning of February 5th. Investigators said she can be seen on video leaving Manzano's hotel room later that morning. Colbert is accused of using Manzano's credit card at several stores in the New Orleans area, which led authorities to her arrest. At this time, Colbert has only been booked on property crimes, according to police, including fraud and theft. Slidell. Thank you, clinically. According to the police, she has a criminal record that includes prior arrests related to being accused of drugging men, stealing cash, fraudulent use of a credit card and debit cards, and other financial-related crimes. Huh. Manzano, a Mexico City native and Topeka, Kansas resident, earned his degree from Kansas State University. He joined the Chiefs TV crew at the beginning of the 2024 season as a sideline reporter. WIBW reported last April that Manzano's wife died in a crash in Topeka. She was an elementary school teacher. The couple leaves behind one child, a toddler. Damn! Did he get used by a hooker? Ooh, what a sad story. Do you think she has something to do with his death? Damn. A couple of weeks ago, we had a plane crash in Philadelphia. I gotta go to a different browser. This young boy apparently saved his sister.
When the jet crashed down near their car. Stephanie Ramos spoke to his father, and she joins us from Philadelphia. Good morning, Stephanie.
Rebecca, good morning. The family of that little boy named Trey tell us doctors initially told them he would never walk again because of his injuries. But the family tell us he has made tremendous progress and survived against all odds.
This morning, investigators combing through evidence into what may have caused that medical transport jet to crash in Philadelphia Friday, injuring at least 24 people and killing 7, 6 on board the jet and 1 person on the ground. The cockpit voice recorder now in the hands of the NTSB. And now the family of one of the survivors, a 10-year-old boy, sharing their experience.
My baby in there. It's hard. See him like that.
Trey Howard was seriously injured by flying debris.
Felt like it was a movie, like a horror movie.
His dad, Andre Howard Jr., says he was picking up donuts with 3 of his kids, ages 4, 7, and 10, when the jet came crashing down.
That's a whole plane right there burning, y'all.
It sounded like a missile was firing bullets, metal at my car, everyone else's car.
Andre immediately backed up his car while his son Trey covered his little sister, protecting her.
I turn around, he has metal out the side of his head.
A police officer rushed them to the hospital where he had emergency brain surgery.
What were you told Friday?
That it was a strong chance he might not survive.
Miraculously, he's now awake and recovering, even talking.
He says thank you to everybody. He cries, Daddy, I'm a celebrity. No, you're bigger than a celebrity. You're a superhero.
A little superhero that has been through so much in the last few days. To lift his spirits, one of his favorite NBA players, the 76ers, Tyrese Maxey, visited him in the hospital. Trey's family says they are so grateful for everyone's support, but most importantly, to still have their little boy.
Absolutely.
And this is AJ Brown, a player for the Eagles, says they want to win the Super Bowl for that young man.
It's an incredible story. He's a hero. He's a hero. Shout out to his parents. You know, they raised a hero. And like I said, when we get back, I'm gonna try to go see him. You know, I hope he's feeling better. You know, and it means a lot to the city. You know, something that magnitude happening, and he's worried about the football game. You know, so for fans and supporters like him, you know, we trying to get it done for him.
Seems like the perfect example of an Eagles fan, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's all they worry about. Yeah.
And AJ, you tweeted out about the plane crash in Philadelphia, the young fan. What did you think of that story?
It's an incredible story. He's a hero. He's a hero.
All right, I'm rooting for the Eagles now.
You know, they raised a hero. And
I don't know if I'm crying from this story or from the fact that I was coughing.
Trying to go see him. You know, I hope he's feeling better. You know, and
I'm not crying, you're crying. The NFL apparently removing end racism from the end zone. Kind of wild that they do that when Trump's going to be there, you fucking cowards. Change from end racism to choose love on the Super Bowl field does not mean racism is over, according to advocates. No, I thought it was totally over now. Call it for what it is. Call it out. CFL great Willard Reeves says of talking action or talking about racism. Good evening, Lenny. Former Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I picked the Canadian story. Another talk about some washed up Canadian football player. Oh, God damn it. I'm sorry. I'm not high enough for this ship. The NFL announcing they're going to do the Black National Anthem. NFL fans, yeah, let's get more high. Let's do it. I'm into it. Which cat you want? Do you have a preference? Maynard is the closest. Smokey and Socks are asleep. Maynard's right here looking out the window. Oh, he's gonna be pissed. I got a Maynard. When Curiouser was over the other day, she kept saying, like, where's Maynard? Where's Maynard? I guess he was under the bed. So she's been here for like an hour and a half. She's like getting ready to leave. And I'm like, well, I guess Maynard just didn't want to come out and, say anything to you. I guess he was just being a dick. And then, like, pretty much right after I said that, he just pops out, runs right over to her, starts, like, rubbing on her leg and shit. I was like, you little shithead. I'm not a fan of Jim Beam myself. NFL fans call for the Super Bowl boycott over the Black National Anthem as Trump's election reignites debate over divisive performance. NFL fans are calling for a Super Bowl boycott after it was revealed the Black National Anthem will be performed ahead of this weekend's big game in New Orleans. Lift Every Voice and Sing is traditionally sung during the pregame festivities at the NFL's end-of-season showpiece, but has sparked huge controversy in recent years. The league has confirmed that Grammy Award-winning singer Ledisi will perform the song in front of President Donald Trump shortly before John Batiste's rendition of the national anthem on Sunday, leading to a huge fan backlash. Some even suggested that they would not be watching the game because of the Black National Anthem revelation. Goddamn, really? You snowflake. Another added, no other sports league tries to force a Black National Anthem down people's throats. A third posted, I haven't watched football ever since they started disrespecting the national anthem. There is no such thing as a Black National Anthem. Trump confirmed on Tuesday that he will be in attendance at the Superdome in New Orleans this weekend, becoming the first sitting president ever to attend the Super Bowl. Has he arrived yet? We might have a live shot of him arriving. I showed you him departing. Oh, we do have his interview on Fox News. I believe this is a
Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Super Bowl tradition here.
You are going to be the first sitting president to attend a Super Bowl. It's a big day for America, always is. What made you want to do it?
Well, first of all, I'm very surprised to hear that. I would have assumed many presidents came, but I think just the spirit of the country's taken on a whole new life. I thought it would be a good thing for the country to have the president be at the game.
It's an iconic day.
It's an iconic day. It's going to be a great game, two great teams, and let's see what happens.
It seems the first days of this administration are like a no-huddle offense. Plays going down the field.
Wow.
One after another. There's a long list of things you've already got done in 3 weeks. Big border policy changes, ICE crackdowns on criminals, taking biological men out of women and girls sports, big energy policy changes. So what's different with you and your administration? The difference between the 45th president and the 47th president?
Well, with the 45th, I had tremendous opposition, but I didn't know people, and I didn't have the kind of support that I needed. I put people in office noticed some really great ones, but I had some that I wouldn't have put. I would have, known better if it were a couple of years.
Melania has been more involved than I ever thought she would be.
Person, not a DC person. And I had a lot of opposition. I just noticed, I looked on the stage for the recent inauguration.
Holiday, I like that. How about we get rid of all that?
Well, if you look on the stage for
Mock said it.
It's the opposite. So
thank you, Holiday, for pinning that. I like that.
I've raised some questions and had some pushbacks.
Who gives a shit?
State's attorneys general filed a lawsuit, and early Saturday, a judge agreed with them to restrict Elon Musk and his government efficiency team, Doge, from accessing Treasury Department payment and data systems.
Government efficiency team.
Risk of irreparable harm. What do you make of that? And does that slow you down on what you want to do?
No, I disagree with it 100%. I think it's crazy, and we have to solve the efficiency problem. We have to solve the fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone in the government. You take a look at the USAID, the kind of fraud in there,
and you
where
found
the money's
significant
going.
things.
Well, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going, where if I read a list, you'd say this is ridiculous, and you've read the same lists, and there are many that you haven't even seen. It's crazy. It's a big scam. Now, there's some good money, and we can do that through any one of a number. I think I'd rather give it to Marco Rubio over at the State Department. Let him.
I think I'd rather not.
A few good ones. So I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
What's wrong with his face?
You trust him.
Does it always look like that?
He's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm
because he's worthless.
Soon, like
what is this shit?
In 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. But I campaigned on this, Brett.
You announced tariffs.
This spray tan looking extra baby diarrhea-ish.
Them on border security and drug interdiction.
I did. A lot of action
that good
that nobody
enough?
expected.
Is that good enough?
No, it's not good enough.
So more needed in 30 days.
Something has to happen. It's not sustainable.
Something's got to give.
Changing it.
You know, the Prime Minister said this weekend to a group of Canadian businessmen, he was a private meeting, he said that your wish for Canada to be the 51st state is a, quote, real thing. Is it a real thing?
Yeah, it is. I think Canada would be much better off being a 51st state because we lose $200 billion a year with Canada, and I'm not going to let that happen. It's too much. Why are we paying $200 billion a year, essentially in subsidy to Canada? Now, if they're a 51st
would it be one state or fucking?
Beautiful word. There are some
how many provinces are there? Like 7?
Confidence that they're a little jittery. So if all goes to plan,
what am I thinking? That's never going to happen. There's 13. Got us way off.
Energy, or you.
But who gives a shit about Canada?
Hang on, inflation may get worse until it gets better.
No,
where's Prometheus?
Become a rich. Look, we're not that.
No,
rich.
10 provinces and 3 territories.
That's because we let all these nations take advantage of us. Same thing, like 200.
I am totally pulling numbers up my ass.
A deficit with Mexico of $350 billion. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, you could be talking about Trump too.
Sports has always been something that Americans rally around and come together. They really do. You won the popular vote. You won all the swing states. Have you thought about how to try to bring the country together, to reach out or to find common ground? Have you thought about that or how that might go?
I'd love to do it, but I would say this. We have to come together, but to come together, there's only one thing that's going to do it, and that's massive success. Success will bring the country together, but it's hard. And I say it's hard. I just signed a bill allowing for women not to have to be punished by men in sports. In other words, men are not going to be allowed to play.
But yeah, that'll bring egg prices down.
It's ridiculous.
You're a sports guy. You're a football fan. Size up these two teams.
I'm a big fan of both teams. They're sort of different. In Philadelphia, you have one of the greatest running backs, Saquon. You know, Saquon had an uncle who was a great fighter. And I ran Barkley, his name was. So you have a great running back. You really have a great quarterback. The other team, the quarterback.
I figured he would hate anybody named Iran.
Great quarterback.
So game prediction?
I hate to do it. I just say that I've watched this great quarterback who has, by the way, a phenomenal wife, okay? She's a Trump fan. She's a MAGA fan, so I have...
Oh, Brittany Mahomes.
but she's a great person. I watched her being interviewed. I said, well, that's pretty good. But she's great, and he's great. I guess you have to say that when a quarterback wins as much as he's won, I have to go with Kansas City. At the same time, Philadelphia has a fantastic. It's going to be just a great game.
Finally, listen, you are the most recognized person in the world, likely the most imitated person in the world.
God, he probably is.
Has Donald Trump imitation, everyone. But now you have UFC fighters winning fights, NFL players doing the Trump dance. Yeah. Did you ever think that was going to be a thing?
No, I didn't. I mean, we do these rallies. They've always been great, but they got really great. And it's just, I don't know what it is. I try and walk off sometimes without dancing, and I can't. I have to dance because it's just got something special about it.
Mr. President, thanks for the time.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the game. You can see the rest of the interview on a host of other topics.
He also apparently did a presser, but I'm not gonna subject you guys to that. It's like 17 minutes of him rambling. Well, let's. He declared it Gulf of America Day. Is today Gulf of America Day, or did he just sign a proclamation about what? We'll just watch this one little segment. So this is on the plane on the way to. This is on the plane on the way to New Orleans for the Super Bowl. He's got a mat that says Gulf of America.
Almost everybody now has assented to that.
Attention on board. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please direct your attention out the right side of the aircraft. Air Force One is currently in international waters for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight. And
wow!
To Super Bowl 59.
Wow, he did that well. He did a good job. He did. Isn't that nice? You know, we're about make America great again, right? That's what we care about. Okay, here we go.
Wow. It's Gulf of America Day. You know what I'm looking forward to? I am not a football fan. I am a music fan. So for me tonight is a Kendrick Lamar concert. Kendrick, one of my favorites. Not just rappers, musicians.
And fans are getting excited for this year's headliner, Kendrick Lamar.
WGNO's Kenny Lopez talked to a writer for Billboard magazine about what we can expect to see.
All eyes are going to be on Kendrick that Sunday.
All eyes and ears will be on 17-time Grammy Award-winning rapper Kendrick Lamar as he headlines the Super Bowl halftime show.
Kendrick had a meteoric 2024. This is something we haven't seen in years. He had 3 #1 singles on the Hot 100. That plus a #1 album.
Carl Lamar, no relation to Kendrick, has been a writer for Billboard Music Magazine for 8 years. He says Kendrick earned this performance.
He's such a hip-hop maestro, man, in terms of knowing how to control the crowd and just his energy.
Carl's even interviewed Kendrick for Billboard.
Yeah, man, he's a different kind of cat. He's dope. Him being so stoic and calculated and meticulous.
Ever since Kendrick Lamar was announced as the Super Bowl performer, fans wondered and speculated, could he bring out the one and only Taylor Swift, who he collaborated with?
No.
Bad Blood.
No.
Be there, and I think she will just strictly remain as a fan. I
don't want Taylor Swift.
Go more so in rooting for Travis and the Chiefs.
But one thing you can count on.
No, Caesar.
Expect someone he does have bad blood with, this rapper Drake, to pop up.
Walking away victorious.
No, I wish he would do like a part of one of the songs he does with Drake. Anti-War Machine.
Confirmed to perform alongside Lamar, but this music expert thinks he just might bring out another special guest.
think it would be cool if Tyler, the Creator, had a moment.
He says this moment is really one for Kendrick and hip hop to shine.
His breath control, second to none. His flow, his delivery,
Taylor's very tall, Kendrick very short.
biggest stage of them all without a backtrack. I think it's gonna blow a lot of people's minds.
Kenny Lopez, WGNO News.
So let's hear. Oh, before we do this, Skip Bayless. He was a coach, right? He's got a podcast now, and apparently he's pretty upset about the fact that Kendrick Lamar was picked to do the Super Bowl halftime show. He felt it should have gone to Lil Wayne.
Ad for Kendrick Lamar playing the Super Bowl halftime show. Yes, Lil Wayne is my brother, but anyone,
your brother?
This is just so wrong, so dirty, rotten wrong, just so unfair. Come on, Wayne is New Orleans, and this Super Bowl obviously will be played in New Orleans. So why wasn't Wayne chosen? I don't know for sure, but this is what I think.
Oh, he was a sports reporter. Oh, I'm sorry.
Jay-Z runs the entertainment department for the NFL. So I'm assuming this was his decision and his alone. I'm guessing it came down to Wayne and Kendrick and Taylor Swift for halftime entertainment. Taylor's going to be there. I assume Jay-Z plus NFL.
The time for Wayne to be like the Super Bowl halftime show was 2015, 2016. That's when Lil Wayne was relevant and at the top of his game. What the fuck?
That she was going to make it to New Orleans. Check that box. But obviously, Kendrick's Not Like Us was already on its way to being the song of the year, capped off at the Grammys. And
obviously, it's yet another Drake diss track. And obviously, Wayne and Drake are closely associated. And so what? So what? Wayne is New Orleans.
That's all
the NFL.
That's your entire argument.
Sent Wayne a letter of apology from nobody in particular, just from the league on NFL letterhead. A letter that thanked him for his years of supporting the league, not just the Packers, his favorite team, but supporting and promoting the NFL in general, which he has. I mean, he makes weekly appearances on the NFL Sunday pregame show, NFL Game Day Morning on NFL.
He is going to cry.
But he will not play Sunday's halftime show.
Did you say the Packers were his favorite team? Okay.
Halftime.
Okay, you're telling me that New Orleans is Lil Wayne, but the Packers are his favorite team and not the Saints. Come the fuck on. Seriously. And your entire argument is just like, he is New Orleans. You've got nothing else. Why fucking Facebook keeps turning the volume off? God damn it.
Watch the game, just not the halftime show, not 1 second. When the news first broke, it hit Wayne hard. He didn't feel like doing much of anything for several
Who gives a shit?
nights.
I hope he was depressed.
But his mom, ironically, is coming from New Orleans out here to Los Angeles this week just to be with her son, to be around Wayne, just in case he needs a little bit of emotional support. This is just so wrong.
That was horrible. Who is this guy? What kind of an audience does he have? How many people watch this video? 33,000 people interacted with it. How in the fuck? Like, you can't tell me my content isn't a million times better than that. Are you serious? He said nothing. 19 million views. Facebook's a little different, so I'd say a lot of those aren't real, but goddamn, 33,000 people interacted with it, 5,000 comments. Yeah, it's 3 seconds or more, or maybe 5 seconds or more now. God damn. Jesus. I'm way better than that. Far more insightful. I don't know shit about the Drake-Kendrick beef. All I know is Drake's a creep, and I've known that long before Kendrick told me that he not like us. So, like, that's, you know, certified lover boy, certified pedophile. I get that. The rest of the song, I don't get all the references. But to catch us up, we're going to let ABC News explain to us the Kendrick Lamar Drake feud.
Long before they were bashing each other publicly.
I don't feel like Kendrick probably cares. Like, he is pretty fucking successful.
Mid-80s. From Roxanne Shante heading back at the rap trio UTFO with
the lawsuit just this wasn't done. The lawsuit just makes it seem like, are you serious? You were told the Puppy Bowl was playing here? I'm not saying it was the next thing on my notes. You fucking called it.
Tour, but I think
his tour just started this weekend.
The beauty is one day they can get back together and maybe give us some good music together.
No.
For that one.
Our thanks to Megan. For more on this story, watch Impact by Nightline, Kendrick versus Drake, The Feud.
They did a Nightline on it. Wow. Oh yeah, I fucking love Kendrick. Not just one of my favorite rappers, one of my favorite artists of all time. Period. This is highlights from some of the previous Puppy Bowls. Highlights from 20 years of Puppy Bowls. Did Puppy Bowl get me taken down? Shit. I have to go cut it out and everything. All right. And podcast YouTube people, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to hang out on Twitch. Podcast YouTube people, go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night, regular time for the Troll Patrol live.